So I thought today would be good to maybe if I just speak a little bit about meditation. You know, there's a lot of different things out there from meditation, what it is, what it isn't, and you know, from my point of view, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's not, you know, so correct because just like everything else in life, quite often people will end up taking, you know, they'll learn something, you know, think that's it, that's the only way. Okay, so meditation is many different types of techniques for meditation. And really what we're talking about is practicing meditation. So of course, you know, the one that we're, you know, used to so much is sitting down and, you know, getting the correct posture with our, you know, back straight and where we keep our hands, whatever they might be. But there are no absolutes. There's many, many different ways. And meditation is not just sitting. Meditation is also walking meditation. It's everything we do, you know, with while we're driving, while we're cooking, all of that is all part of meditation. So in fact, when people practice meditations, you know, they understand to try to bring that into the post-meditation as well, so that, you know, you begin to carry. What are you carrying with you? You're carrying with you mindfulness. You're carrying with awareness. Because what we have is, we have a mind, but we don't know what a mind is. You know, many people, oh, mind is the brain, it's up here. Well, I'm just going to say, from my point of view, from the Buddhist standpoint, mind and brain are not the same thing. The brain is very important, just like the entire physical system is very important, and they relate to our kind of psychic system, so that when we do some of the different practices with breathing and with channels and others, they correspond to the physical as well. And so it's very, very important, you know, to more or less understand that. But, you know, sometimes people say, okay, breathing, you know, just breathing easy, nice and soft. Well, that's the best. That's very soft. That's a good way to do meditation. But just to know it, within meditation techniques, you sometimes, you know, breathe harder. There's times when you breathe in. There's times when you breathe in and you hold your breath. And during that time, the subtle energies begin to, you know, release. As we were just sitting in meditation, if you had any possibility why your mind got into a little bit quieter spot, into a little bit more subtle, it begins to feel the subtle type of battle that's going on in something. Some of them in our knees sometimes in our back. And in our, I mean, obviously, you know, what's the term, uptight, you know, because we bring the tension, you know, we bring these tensions up so much within ourselves. So this releases them. But breathing is not just done through your nose. Sometimes you do breathing, there's breathing that's done through your nose and your mouth, sometimes through your mouth. So again, getting into something where, you know, you're pigeonholing into a very small place, what is meditation, then, you know, only begins to create more concepts, more barriers. Because then, if you're not doing it this particular way because somebody's telling you, then it's all wrong. So as long as somebody has understanding about what the mind is, about knowing what our mind is, knowing what our breath and our energy level is, knowing what our speech is, knowing those things and knowing how to work with them. Sometimes, you know, meditation is puja. When we're doing mantras, that's meditation. You know, with keeping your awareness on onto the mantra, maybe doing visualizations of sending out, you know, type whatever is needed to all living beings, taking on types of pain and suffering that's out there. Whatever might be done with it, it can be done while you're doing those mantras, could be done while you're doing actual praying in within the pujas themselves. So all of these things from that standpoint, meditation, I guess meditation is everything. But what it's most important is keeping, our awareness, becoming aware of ourself, beginning to learn to feel about ourself. So now, all of those are good. All of those are really good for us to be able, because the more we do that practice, the more we begin to learn, about ourselves. We begin to do that inner type of discovery, and we can begin to untie the type of knots that have, created conceptual kind of problems, that are within us day in and day out. So the meditation practice is to lead us into meditation. Meditation is a different level than the practice, but it's there at any moment, can be discovered at any moment. When we let go, when our minds open up, we can begin to feel, the oneness with ourself. That we're not, there is no more thinking. You've gone beyond conceptual framework. It even happens to people like it ordinarily. I listen to, I don't run, but runners, they say, oh, I got a second wind. Something changed within the consciousness. Okay. You've went beyond your limits of, oh, this is hard, and I'm here, and I need to get to there, and I've still got an hour to go. All of a sudden, all that stuff was kind of let go for a moment, and you feel refreshed. When we sit down and we meditate, and we begin to feel all of the energies within ourselves, and all of the sounds, and all of the thoughts, and all of these memories that come up, and all of our daydreaming for the future, and trying to hang on to the now, which you can't. As soon as you do that, it's already part of the past. So it's necessary to go beyond all of that. And through these techniques, the techniques create the atmosphere of it opens up, in a sense, the possibility for us to experience our true nature. We can begin to be where we're at. So what happens is it's unbelievably refreshing, because if we begin to sit down, for a short period of time, and we enter into this space of no, thoughts don't matter. Thoughts are going to come and go. It doesn't matter. We're not trying to, again, misconception with meditation, go beyond thoughts. Sometimes it happens too fast for us, but there is a space of no thought in between one thought into the next thought. And sometimes we'll be in a space of no thought, but that's, whether it's no thought or whether it's thought, that's not the important. The important thing is being awake. Our mind is awake. Our mind reflects like a mirror. So it has that ability. If we begin to doze off, we're leaving our awareness and going into our unconscious and into our subconscious in meditation. So we notice that, and you bring your awareness back again, not falling into that, so that the meditation itself doesn't become sleep. But the funny thing is that you re-energize yourself beyond belief. Why do you re-energize yourself? Because and you can't, there's no way to be able to tell, because you've already went beyond time when these experiences take place. But for whatever time you've let go of all of your tensions on every level, and even your breathing at that time, will not be perceptible, into an extremely, extremely quiet space. When that takes place, it's as if you're totally reborn. The energy that comes about from that, you become refreshed from that. Your body begins to feel light. when people do these meditations, so, of course the meditations to begin with are to get into a, more quiet state, because we're, very active in the Western world and moving around and running to here to there. So we begin to quiet down. That meditation technique is called shamatha. And that's where we get mental calmness, mental quiet. But within that mental calmness and quiet, we need to keep, our awareness in a sense of what's going on. When we merge within our inner wisdom, within our awareness, at that time, there is no time. So it's unbelievable what is experienced in a very short period of time. We can know so many things because the mind actually has the ability to know everything and anything. No limitation whatsoever. So a short period, when I say short, I'm talking, this is the problem with words. Words are dualistic. So we need to go beyond duality. But in order to try to understand, in order to be a little GPS system, we have to try to use these words. So in the teachings of like Mahamudra, of course, one of the 4 things that's very important within there is, one of them which is very important is understanding one taste, because every part of phenomena, anything we hear, doesn't matter when we're walking or whether we're meditating or whether we're sleeping, anything we hear, anything we touch, anything we feel, anything we smell, all of those things are not existing the way that we're perceiving them. We're perceiving them through a conditioned life. We've been conditioned to like this and not like that. And so we automatically experience those, and that's where we begin to arise aversion for some things and grasping, for something else. Even in the meditation, you sit down and you get that quiet space, and you're actually very calm and quiet there for a second, and then all of a sudden something pops up and it says, "Hey, I want that. I want more of that." Well, it's already ruined it, because you're already grasping at it. You're already going back at it. That's because we have to go beyond the past. We have to go beyond the future, and we have to go beyond the now. We have to go beyond those 3 times, within our mind. When we go beyond those, I'm not saying, maybe if somebody's watching us from the side and they've got a watch, they could say, "Oh, you were just sitting there for 2 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever." But we don't know that, because we're not looking at it. We all know that. Time is relative. It's not an absolute. When things are very nice for us, time, sometimes moves very, very quickly. When we're in a very confused state and very painful state, it's so slow. Because why is it so slow? Because we're fighting. We're fighting with it. We're not accepting it in. When we learn to accept what's happening, we can get so much energy. We can sit there within a meditation, and whatever arises within us, instead of fighting with it, our mind becomes like the space. Sometimes space and sky are translated different, but it becomes like the space. So within the space, many things come and go, but the space stays the same. Our mind's nature is like that space. Things will arise in it. So what happens especially while we're meditating is we're getting ourselves caught in some game. What time is it? Do I need to go? Am I hungry? Is this, is that? And so when we're really in meditation, That's the state of non-duality. We've went beyond time and space. We've went beyond separating me experiencing this pain. So all of a sudden, what felt like pain is not pain anymore because it's only energy. And we're not fighting it. So it's incredible about, the little, these thousands of little different things that are inside there when we feel something that's trying to push it away. There's energy there. That's what's happening when we're sitting there in meditation. We feel something like that and we're fighting with it. That hurts. Get rid of it, and it's bothering my meditation. It's your meditation. Whatever, when we learn everything that comes in through all of our senses are part of our meditation, all of them, then there's nothing to escape from. So all of that, when you hear with Mahamudra, one taste, it's because they're all of one taste. There is no absolute thing that one is better than this and this one's better than that. So we don't have that grasping and pushing and, away. The other thing, the other one that I was starting to talk about, which is we enter into the state of non-meditation. Because there's no meditator, there's no meditation. So that's the state of your mind becoming awake and seeing that everything is part of oneself. We begin to experience it all as oneself instead of separating what we're going after, what we're not going after. So the meditation, when it's non-meditation, it's more or less that state of absence of doing. I don't have to do anything more. I don't have to do anything better. I can be in this time, in this space, fully, totally, with just a total luminous presence of mind. The mind is like light. Ignorance is like darkness. So we turn on the light, where does the darkness go? It disappears. When, the wisdom is there, the darkness of ignorance is like just gone. It's gone. Not that it's going to happen in a week or next time or next meditation. Right now, in the now, then meditation becomes something that's beautiful, something that we enjoy. Otherwise, if we're sitting down and everything is just a battle, we don't even want to look at a mat to sit down at. Okay? So once we start to see, how this practice of meditation can lead to a state of meditation and all of the after effects that go with that state of meditation, and in a state of non-aggressiveness, there just becomes an openness, and that, then our mind is in a different state of mind. That state of mind, when you come out of the meditation, when you walk outside, the colors look brighter. Looks beautiful. I didn't even notice that. The trees look nice. The sky looks nice. Everything looks nicer because we're beginning to see things closer as they are. Just some forms of energy that comes together in different places, different shapes, and we can begin to, work with that. Work with that energy. So while we're meditating, while we're doing our practices, it becomes the most important thing. The most important thing is to let go. let go. And you've heard me, I've said it every time, letting go is some of the words I don't like to use because it's like doing something. So it's letting go means absence of doing. Whatever it is, it is. There's something here, there's something there, something I hear, something I feel. Just it is what it is. You just let it go, and you're just there, you're just aware of it, it's part of you, and you accept that in. But when our mind is sitting here and is in this duality, which is me sitting here, me meditating, me in this world, that's not perceiving things correctly, in the correct way. So that's what's called ignorance. It's kind of an ignoring reality. It's a not knowing. I mean, the worst of it is knowing wrongly. So even on the relative level, obviously, if you use one of these ancient examples of like where there's that rope on the ground, if that rope is actually not a rope and you think, oh, that's a rope and I'm keep walking, but it's actually a snake, then you're gonna, you might get bit. So knowing wrongly happens on the relative level. But the bigger problem is how it happens on the absolute level. On the absolute level, everything we go to perceive and what we say, this is what it is, it's only relatively existing that way. If we try to take it apart, anything we take apart inside here, all it is energies, atoms, molecules. Even science breaks down to the smallest, what are they called? I mean, what's the smallest particle? Whatever, you get to the smallest particle, there's no actual particle there. That particle is made up of little parts, and there's nothing. There is nothing there. These particles come and go. They come together, and we basically begin to play within this situation of finding a reality beyond what's there. Relatively, that works as a chair, that works as a couch, that works as a table. But there's no couch or table absolutely in there. Where are you going to find it? Take it apart. Every little piece can part. You take the top off, you take the chair off, you take the legs off, take those apart, you don't find anything there. But relatively, conventionally, they exist. But because our mind perceives things wrongly, then it grasps at some things and rejects some of these others. So our real type of science lab is within us at all times. And how fantastic to sit there and all of a sudden allow the energy to begin to open up again. Open up again so that our chakras are open, our channels are open, because we're not fighting with anything. So this is as we get into meditation. And as I said, it's not just because you're sitting there. I gave the example of somebody running, and they go into this thing they call the, second wind, basically. It's beginning to see that all of the answers actually lie within ourselves. And once we begin to recognize the true nature, we don't continue to believe duality, but begin to doubt it and start to understand non-duality. Once these things start to come in, this begins to, break down all of this buildup of confused states of mind, that we've been with all of our life from whatever age, and unfortunately, past lives as well. It's not just this life. We carry that baggage with us. Good thing is some of it's good baggage. So that's why we enter in on the practices, because the practices begin to work as a GPS. They put us on this path. in the right direction instead of sending us in the, the wrong way. So from that standpoint, when we begin to understand that, every good quality begins to open up naturally. So all of a sudden we have energy for practice, because we see what this practice is, and sometimes we get a little glimpse, even when we're not getting into a state of total not doing or non-meditation. Even when we don't get to that, even these little ones, that we're beginning to quiet ourselves down, that our mind's quieting down, even that begins to open us up, and we begin to have this different. There's absolutely no question about what takes place. We can begin to, our body becomes more flexible, and that's because our mind is becoming more flexible. Our mind and our body are related together. All of a sudden, when we begin to open up like this, we have a type of nimbleness to us, a flexibility with us. We have energy. There's something there, because we are now flowing with energy. We're not blocking it. Because right now, that's why earlier we did some of those things to open up the channels and the chakras, because our energies are blocked up. It's like plumbing in here in the house. If the stuff gets caught inside the pipes there, plumber's got to come out and clean the pipes out. So we're cleaning out our channels, basically. We're opening up our chakras. Those chakras can open. As we sit quieter, the quieter we sit, the more we begin to feel that subtle energy. And something that's really amazing is we actually can heal ourselves. We can actually heal ourselves. We can feel certain things, within us, and we can get into such a subtle state where that you're beginning to work with this, subtle energies. So we worked with the three main channels, but there's thousands of channels that go to all over the body, to all parts of that, and those begin to open up. So we call the plumber out for some other areas, the more subtle ones as well, and because of that, we begin to heal ourselves. So the truth of the matter is that say Eastern medicine, and Tibetan medicine and Chinese medicine means being in balance, because all of the energy moves from, some of the, 5 major type of organs throughout. Everything flows properly. It's not stopped. We know what happens to ourselves when we get all overexcited and, our breathing becomes, very hard. And when that happens, our mind is also panicking with that as well. And so, the opposite of that is beginning to learn how to, begin to work with the inner rhythm, feeling that breath. You get into the more subtle states. So maybe at the beginning we've done something to go throughout our whole body and feel where there's tensions and try to let them, release a little. Because you just put awareness on areas in the right way and tensions begin to relax. But as you become more quiet in your meditation, as you become more subtle, then you begin to experience some other subtle tightness. And those are the ones that even get deeper. They get deeper into the areas, and they allow for a healing process to take place. So we live within limitations within our body, but if we keep it fine-tuned, we have a better chance when things, take place within us. So I think we'll stop there. If you want to discuss, we can discuss anything, or just stop. Whatever you feel like. Anything come to mind? Something that makes sense?
Yeah, I always thought, that, and I think we talked about this before, that if you, in my own engineering mind, I thought if you try to achieve the zero mind, which is zero thoughts, and the only way you can achieve it is like accepting what's happening and not being judgmental also about what's
Yeah.
happening. Actually, it can bring you
Yeah.
closer to something and away from a lot of things.
Yeah, it's not zero.
That's my thing.
No, you're right. It's not getting to zero thought or no thought. It's getting to that little place in the ocean that's so deep that even with the storm up above and 15 feet waves, whatever is going around, nothing moves. It's so quiet. You can just,
You mentioned that before, yes.
yeah. So that type of getting into that quiet space.
Quiet zone, yeah.
Yeah, that's really what is. And again, it's a very tricky thing because, oh yeah, that sounds great. I want to get there. I want to get there right now. And so the act of wanting has to be let go, so that anything that comes up, if thoughts come up that I want this or I want that or I'm thinking of the past or all of a sudden I start to daydream, I actually have dreams while I'm awake, those things come up. Just watch them with the awareness of mind. Just watch them and stay out of the battle.
So,
Yeah. So these are kind of tricky, tricks. I mean, honestly, I wish I would have heard more about this even when I was starting in things, because these are very, very, very important type of instructions, for us to be able to progress. Because once we see that, then we understand that in reality there's no place to go. It's right here, and now.
So, can you stop breath or not? I mean,
Yes.
I feel sometimes like I need to stop, but my body it's not ready. Probably.
Yeah. No. The meditators, the yogis in Tibet, inside of the mountains up there in retreats and things, sometimes are sitting like Milarepa. We'd be sitting, in there for months and months. If you went in with all kind of equipment, you'd say, "Oh, they're dead," because they can't perceive. There's very subtle inner breathing. That's why with the Tibetan lamas, that when they let their students know that they're going into the process of death, they don't move them, because what looks like death is not death yet. So, in meditation, yes, you can get to a state where your breathing has quieted so much that it can't be perceived. Yes. But you can't, again, stay with with more or less.
No, I got it.
Yeah.
I'm doing that.
Yeah.
in the life of
Yeah, like some like something in me says like it's like you cannot breathe. You are free. Do not breathe. But my body, it's like just cannot stop the breathe.
Well, it can.
Probably, but
No. When you're sitting there, your breath at the beginning was not the same as it was
yes,
at different times throughout the meditation.
slower and slower.
Slower and slower. So, if you understand that, there's not a limit point that says, okay, well now, if I stop breathing, I'll be dead. That's not what.
No, you can watch, right? You said very, very correct thing, which I got it, that you can watch that mind or what is going on with you
Yes.
at that time.
Yeah.
So I got
Well,
it.
that's good. Yeah, that's no, that's very important. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, it's a it's kind of an interesting process that again, when we, whether we grow up, myself in the Western America and you in Eastern Europe, and I remember, were you in India or Pakistan? You were in India, right?
Yeah, born in India.
Yeah, or India, wherever he might be. India, has some, they grow up with a culture of some awareness of this. So that's not as good an example as what we have in the West. In the West, we have no idea. There's not now they're teaching some little simple things in schools and stuff with breathing and stuff for, kids. So they take breaths and, have quiet time and stuff. And so it's better. But there's a lot more there that even from young age, like like the young monks and things in monasteries, if they begin to learn from very early ages, is so important, so vital. So it's it's a shame in a sense, but that's well, look, I mean, we can see the world we live in. We're living in a world of aggression, of greed, of power, anything, what's most important to me is me.
Yeah.
And so, it's very sad, I mean, I don't know if you noticed it now, but the people driving, since things have, started to open up from the pandemic, everybody is, not everybody, but most of the people out there, it's like wherever they're going to, that's the most important place, and your safety doesn't matter. I mean, I see craziness that I don't remember ever seeing before at this level.
You're right.
Yeah, isn't it? It's just, I mean, luckily I've always been kind of a defensive driver, and so you practice to stay alert. I'm anticipating. I have to anticipate what people are doing because it's crazy. Why is that? Because I'm the most important person, and really most of the stuff that happens, they end up even if they got through this light, we catch up to them at the next light. You didn't get anywhere. And when I look at my GPS system, and it tells me I'm going to arrive somewhere, it's pretty good. I mean, no matter what, even if I started going 20 miles over the speed limit, I'm probably taking a minute off of where I'm driving.
Yeah.
Right?
But
But what's the mind doing at that time? Oh my God, I got to get there. And so whatever it takes. So, I mean, all of the levels of this, those states of mind, as opposed to, the fact of, just follow what other people are doing, be safe and things. And then, of course, we, I mean, when I took a look coming back after living all the years as a monk and living in India and then in Australia and teaching, I came back to this country and I saw, what was taking place inside, the type of companies that, I mean, no heart whatsoever, just greediness. And each, the fighting, who's going to get into a better position and things, and from that standpoint, it was very sad, to see things like that. So anyway, enough of that stuff.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.